How you doing, my friend?
Doing very well, thank you. It's a beautiful day here in Carmel.
Where are you at?
At Carmel, California, just about
Oh,
2 hours south of San Francisco.
well, I'm really excited to talk with you today. Some of the things that you have shared that you experience is Parkinson's,
Yeah,
some brain gene therapy clinical
yeah,
trial, deep brain stimulation surgery, device
yeah,
implant, and just a really good awareness advocate in kind of spreading awareness and talking about what you've done in your life and how you're have a quality of life and are productive and all of that. And so I really appreciate you and your willingness to join us. um
sure.
a lot of people don't know about those conditions, and so um sharing your story, you can go back as far as you'd like, and you can include whatever
Sure.
you feel comfortable with, um I'll let me just kind of turn the time over to you and just take it away and
Sure.
just have us get to know you a little bit more.
Yeah. Well, I grew up in rural Sonoma County, which is north of San Francisco, about 2 hours. And I grew up in Wellwater. We lived in a very rural area. And I grew up like 45 minutes from the nearest movie theater. So it was a very remote area. And I grew up there for 18 years. I went to school at Cal State University, Chico, and was there for 4.5 years. And then I came down to Pebble Beach and began working as the front desk at the lodge at Pebble Beach, which is a hotel resort, golf resort. And about 2004, 2003, I began to develop a little tremor in my pinky, my right hand.
Mhm.
And it was only in stressful situations, such as I guess was upset about something, and I was dealing with that. And I didn't think anything of it at the time. And I ended up going to a local neurologist in Monterey, California. And they tested me for Wilson's disease and Lyme's disease and mercury poisoning and different things that ruled everything else out, and eventually gave me a diagnosis of Parkinson's disease, which I was 35 at the time, which was very young. Only about 2% of the people under the age of 50 get young onset Parkinson's disease. So I ended up going up to UCSF up in San Francisco, and also the Sunnyvale Parkinson's Institute in Santa Clara. And I wanted to get two more opinions because I couldn't believe I had Parkinson's disease, because it doesn't run in my family at all. And then it's a factor, a hereditary factor that usually implicates when somebody gets it. But since I didn't have it at all, I was trying to figure out if I truly did have it. So I went up to UCSF and talked to the neurologist up there, and also at Sunnyvale Parkinson's Institute. And both of those doctors diagnosed me with Parkinson's disease as well. So there isn't really a test that you can take to determine. There's a DAT scan that they do that kind of determines whether you have Parkinson's or not. Most of it's your symptoms and how you react to different stressful situations that determine whether you have Parkinson's or not. So
When people think of Parkinson's, I know that Michael J. Fox is someone that has been amazing in terms of kind of being the first that I know of that helped me to learn a little bit kind of
right.
about what that is. I think that people still don't understand a lot of what the condition is doing that's causing the body to move. Can you talk a little bit about that?
Yeah. So when you have Parkinson's, you have a depletion of dopamine in your substantia nigra. So dopamine is what helps your muscles move, and it's dying off of neurons in your substantia nigra of your brain that causes the Parkinson's symptoms to come alive. And so what most people are trying to do with this day and age is, when you see Michael J. Fox on TV, he's rocking and rolling and moving around like this, and he can't really calm himself down. It's because he's got too much medication in the system. And the medication is what causes you what's called dyskinesia. And dyskinesia is a byproduct of the medication of carbidopa-levodopa. And carbidopa-levodopa is one of the medications that still works to this day, and they developed in the 1960s. So they've done a lot of things with different types of medication over the years. But so when Michael J. Fox takes his cocktail of different medications that he takes, or I take medication, I was building up a tolerance to the medication. And so once the neurons die, then some people have reactions that are everyone's symptoms are different in Parkinson's, which is really unique. And so you have, like for me, I had stiffness and rigidity. I didn't have tremor, and you have some people have tremor really bad. And I was having a hard time walking, and my gait was out of whack, and I really didn't have anything but those symptoms. And there are some people that have similar symptoms to me, but there's other people that have really bad dyskinesia when it comes to medication. And that's what you try to eliminate those things. But once your body builds up a tolerance to medication, it's really hard to get rid of those dyskinesias.
So the medication was causing some of the movement. What are some of the symptoms of Parkinson's without the medication being part of what's causing that? Because I think that at least for me, I know is kind of a misconception, because you might think that Parkinson's is what's causing that, not the medication that he's taking.
Yeah. So what happens is you have those neurons die off in your brain in the substantia nigra. For me, I can't walk. So the ability for my legs to move, and my brain's telling my muscles in my legs to move, but they don't move. So when I was off my medication, I would have a hard time walking. And some people have really bad tremors, and they can't calm them down. And so it's difficult to eat, difficult to exercise, difficult to read a book, difficult to drink water, because their hands are moving so rapidly. And so you have that depletion of neurons in your substantia nigra that causes these different types of things. And so people are trying to always find a way to minimize the symptoms, but it's very hard to find one medication that works for everybody. And carbidopa-levodopa is the one medication that seems to work to give people some life in the beginning stages of their diagnosis. And it's usually the number one medication that people are put on when they have diagnosis of Parkinson's disease. And so the freezing of gait is a big thing. Transitioning into a room and walking into doorways and getting on elevators is very difficult. And some people think you're drunk when you see Parkinson's patients, because their balance is affected, and they have a hard time walking. And so that's why some people are confined to a wheelchair at some point during the process of their diagnosis. So,
are you in a wheelchair? You said that you can't walk right now.
No, I can walk. I've had, because of my surgery, a deep brain stimulation surgery, I am able to walk really well. And I'll get into it a little bit later. But if I don't take my medication right now, I have a difficult time walking, yes.
Oh, okay. So if you didn't have part of the treatment, then you could be possibly in a wheelchair.
Yeah. It's one of those things that if you don't keep your muscles active, and exercise is the number one key to longevity in Parkinson's disease, then you're putting yourself in a situation where your muscles atrophy and you don't have the mobility that you used to have.
So this gene therapy, it's been a clinical trial that you've been involved with, right? But you're saying it's been helpful. Do you want to talk a little bit about that now? Or?
Sure. Well, in 2015, I was signed up at UCSF in San Francisco to be a part of this clinical trial called gene therapy. And gene therapy the goal was to have there's so many different cells in your brain that are available to help develop dopamine. They're trying to get those cells to produce dopamine in my putamen. So the putamen in the brain, they put solutions on top of my brain, three passes of solution with this called AADC, and it's the goal is to produce dopamine cells in the substantia nigra, but also in the putamen. And it's a clinical trial that is currently on hold. And they have not had super success with it. They've had some patients that have some benefit from it. I reduced my medication by about 20%, which is, anytime you're reducing medication, it's always a good thing. But I'm still in that trial, so I have some opportunity. They still evaluate me and see how I'm doing, but overall, it's only been about 15 patients in San Francisco that have been doing this, and some others around the country that have also been doing this study as well. So,
You're saying that's made a difference in you being able to even walk.
not necessarily, because they didn't have super success with this study. They're still trying to figure out some of the benefits of the study. So I can't really talk about some of the details of the study yet because it's not really published all the way yet. But it gives me more. The goal is to produce more dopamine in the substantia nigra as well as the suprattainment, and so that's my goal. It's kind of like Christmas. They said the packages open up every day, but you don't know what's going to happen. It's like a surprise at Christmas time. So hopefully you get some more benefit of the dopamine cells.
So what is it right now that has been most helpful that is helping you walk?
Yeah, the DBS is called deep brain stimulation surgery. It's what I did in January of this year, and that's the best thing that I've had done so far for combating the symptoms.
Okay, and can you talk about what was involved with that surgery?
Yeah, so it's usually a 4 to 5 hour surgery. I was in surgery for 7 hours, and they implant electrodes in the brain, and they have a wire that goes down my neck and into a pacemaker that's in my chest. And so they dial in your frequency is what they do. And the Medtronic is a company that I chose. Another company called Boston Scientific, they're both great companies. And they implant the electrodes in the part of the brain that stimulates the frequency of your muscles so that you can really have full movement. And it eliminates dyskinesia, which is a number one thing I was hoping for. And it also allows me to sleep really well. So I've got these 2 electrodes in my brain, and it's kind of like a pacemaker for the brain, is the way to think of it. And it sends an impulse to the brain from this battery pack in my chest. And so they ends up, the frequency is always on 24/7. So you always have the frequency that is measured. And I have a Samsung phone, which I use I can change the frequency if I want. The doctors can change the frequency of UCSF. And it's able to, I'm working on a clinical trial with them right now so that the battery pack in the chest will automatically adjust my frequency based on my symptoms changing. So, which is a fantastic opportunity that the growth in technology is huge with this.
So with those electrodes and the frequency, you still have a shortage of dopamine. So, but
correct.
It's still helpful with whatever dopamine levels you have. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yeah. I still take medication, and so I take about 5 carbidopa levodopa pills a day. Every 2 to 3 hours, I take one, and it basically evens out my symptoms so that I don't have to any rigidity. I don't have any frequent, unless I go off my meds, which it can happen. You forget to take them, but I have little reminders on an app I take. But it allows me to. Go ahead.
Do you know if that is like a dopamine reuptake inhibitor? I know that some of the SSRIs, like with serotonin reuptake inhibitor, that they don't have as much serotonin, like with me, for example, with OCD, and it helps to keep so that serotonin is more there so that you have a healthier brain. Do you know if the medication, I'm just kind of curious, does it kind of work like that, where it's saying, hey, I am producing dopamine, but let's not have this reuptaking happen, and so that it increases the supply that you do have so that it stays there longer or something?
It's like a synthetic dopamine, and so yes, it tricks your brain to think there's real dopamine in your body.
Oh, okay.
And that's what
it's not a reuptake. It's more of a it's almost like you're getting more dopamine. Okay.
Exactly.
Wow.
So it's been life-changing for me as far as my ability I can walk 3 or 4 miles a day, no problem. I can sleep really well, and so the DBS has been hugely successful for me. I got the best benefit I could have imagined from it, and so I'm still working full time, and so it's allowed me to have the flexibility to be able to to work and do my things. I still have Parkinson's, and that has not gone away. But this has given me my life back, basically,
Yeah,
a new lease on life with the mobility that I have now, which is awesome.
One of the things that now it's so important is increasing that awareness with people that have an invisible illness of any kind, disability, those kinds of things. Certainly you have that kind of going on, and pain is kind of the theme in whatever form that it is. Usually when those things are involved, what has been pain related with what you go through or have gone through?
Well, I've been very fortunate in that my pain has been zero during this entire process of having Parkinson's. I'm 53 now, so I've been dealing with it for 15 years. And some people have some pain. They have dystonia, which is where your muscles cramp. I have very little. I didn't have any of that, and so I had a little bit in my foot at one point in time. But since the surgery, I have not had any. And so I don't have any pain. I'm very, very fortunate in that respect. And a lot of people have very painful cramps, and they don't go away. And it's called dystonia, and it's really, really debilitating.
Okay, so people with Parkinson's, it's common to have it be part of what they are going through. So people that have, with Parkinson's in their family, maybe they just learned the diagnosis. It's not unheard of that that's part of what they're going to go through in terms of, being in the chronic pain community, is that, that's going to vary, right, for people.
Yeah, absolutely. And so I know people that have dystonia really bad, and it's debilitating to the point where they can't move or walk. Their pain cramps are incredibly painful. And so this surgery I did helps with dystonia as well, and it gives people relief from their any pain that they do have. So
the device, the stimulation surgery, right? The DBS.
DBS, yeah. And DBS is not not everyone's eligible to do that. It depends on what other health conditions you have. I don't have any other health conditions besides Parkinson's, and at my age of 53, I'm a good candidate for it. They do people from 45 years old up to 85 years old, and it just depends on what other health conditions you have. And it's a very lengthy process as far as being qualified for it. You have to meet with a couple neurosurgeons, and you have to meet with a neuropsychologist to make sure you're mentally ready for this change. And you have to meet with your neurologist and go through some testing, cognitive testing, to make sure you're in a good spot for to have the surgery. So,
okay, yeah, that really helps me understand a lot of not only what you're going through, but with people where that might be part of their story. It's interesting. Right. Now I talk a lot about, no matter how many people we interview, I'm just shocked at how we continue to hear people with differing conditions, right? And it's just amazing the diversity of what people are going through that has a hardship or a suffering or a pain in any way. The people that have been drawn to you in TikTok, what have you found? I don't know if that's just the only platform that you're kind of on. I know that that's kind of how we connected. What drew you to kind of coming into that space, and what's been your experience in terms of what you've hoped to have happen with those posts?
It's interesting. And I am also on Instagram, JLT Pebble is my follower. So if you can't follow me on TikTok, follow me on Instagram. But I found that there is a lack of knowledge about what Parkinson's is, and that what the symptoms are, and what people think that the symptoms are. You think, like he's talked about Michael J. Fox, when people see him on TV, think that symptoms he's showing are Parkinson's. Well, Parkinson's are the muscles that are not working. So the rock and rolling that you see him and the flailing sometimes he does is because he has too much dopamine in his system, as synthetic dopamine. So I find that people don't know much about deep brain stimulation surgery. They've never heard of it before. It's not been available to them as far as the neurologist has mentioned it to them before. Um, I'm finding that there's a lot of people that don't have hope, and they're depressed, and they don't have anything to hold on to. They don't have support from their family. I've talked to people all over the world that are, and neurologists from all over the world that are able to thank me for just educating them on what Parkinson's is, and that you can have a quality of life that's very good still. There's different levels of people's degrees of Parkinson's that people get, and I understand that. So not everyone is at the same spot I am, but I'm trying to give people hope, and I think I've reached some guy in Germany the other night, and I'm in the United States. Well, that is huge for me because he's able to see that there is another side of Parkinson's disease, that I'm exercising and I'm living my life basically.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. Absolutely. With Michael J. Fox, do you think that, I'm just kind of curious, do you think that there's room for him to to have the dopamine levels adjusted and have him consider DBS? I mean, that would just be amazing if if his life could be benefited in ways that you're talking about. I don't know what you think about that.
Well, I met him once and had a conversation with him about 15 minutes, and just right after my gene therapy surgery. His foundation was sponsoring that surgery, and so I had a chance to talk to him. And I think he had, early on in his diagnosis, he had some ablation surgery, which is where they cauterize part of the brain, and it dies off. And so I don't know if he's eligible to get brain stimulation surgery. I've not had the opportunity to ask him, and he's not talked about it. So I don't know. Everyone's circumstances are different, and so that's why they have to go through a long process of talking with neurosurgeons and neurologists and neuropsychologists to make sure that you're a good candidate, because they as a team, all those neurologists and neuropsychologists, they have to determine whether you're a good fit for the surgery based on their interviews with you and talking to you, and your mood and your all your positivity and negativity, and how your mood is. And so I think, I don't know what his background is other than that. So he has obviously something that's not allowing him to do this, or he doesn't want to do it. I don't know if he's waiting for the cure all to come down the pike. So his foundation's doing amazing work.
Yeah, no, it sounds like it. And it sounds like if he had too much dopamine in his system, whoever he's working with, could help him just adjust it so that there was less of that happening, right? I mean, I don't know if it's just that simple.
There is a way of adjusting it. Yeah, there's a way of adjusting it, but you still end up you build up a tolerance to medication after a number of years, and you just can't get away from the dyskinesia.
Oh, okay.
No matter how much you take or how little you take, you still get the dyskinesia. So that's why this DBS surgery was hugely beneficial for me, because I'm able to still take some carbidopa-levodopa medication but have no dyskinesia, which is amazing for me. So like I said, everyone's symptoms are different, and he may react to the medication differently than somebody else might react to the medication. So it's all different.
Well, I really appreciate you doing that. I don't doubt that there are numbers in people that have Parkinson's. I know that there are at least few, with what I see out there, in terms of people that have done what you and Michael J. Fox are doing. And I don't know whether that's because people are afraid. A lot of what we talk about with all sorts of conditions are the whys, and a lot of people have been feeling like that there's stigmas that they've been afraid to, or that maybe that there is risk in relationships or a job, or there's a ton of different reasons why people may not share, let alone be in a position where they're actually an inspiration, right, in their sharing.
Right.
So I commend you for that, because you stood out and we wanted to reach out.
Caregivers.
Okay.
They're another group of people that don't get a lot of attention, and they're the people that are caring for the people that have Parkinson's. And I find that through my TikTok interactions that so many people are lost, and they don't have any knowledge of what to do with their spouse or their loved one that has Parkinson's disease. And so just education of getting to a neurologist is the first step, and that what you have is truly diagnosed as Parkinson's disease. Because a lot of people are guessing, I think, that they think their partner, their spouse has Parkinson's disease. And so I'm trying to encourage people to go see a neurologist that haven't been to a neurologist before, because there's a lot of different treatments out there for people that can give them a better quality of life. And if they don't have a neurologist to go to, I'm very blessed. I live in an area where I'm close to the best care in the world. And that's been very, very fortunate for me. And not everyone has that opportunity. And so I've made a huge decision last week to stop working. And I've been working full time for 18 years in my Parkinson's diagnosis, but I'm going to be going on medical retirement, and just based on I need to change. The stress and anxiety of the job affects me, and I'm doing well physically, but the DBS surgery doesn't affect the cognitive side of the brain, and so I don't feel like I'm doing as well as I could with my job. And out of fairness to my employer and to my employees that are working for me, I want to make sure that they have the best opportunity to have a success in this position with somebody that can do the job 100%. So that's a hard thing to finally admit to at some point.
Yeah.
You don't want to cut your work, but I feel it's the best thing for my health. And so I think people have to not be afraid to call it quits when they need to call it quits from a full-time job. And I'm going to be busy. I'm going to be exercising. I'm going to be posting TikToks and Instagrams, and I'm going to keep sharing as much as I can about what to do as far as exercise and different things with Parkinson's and knowledge of Parkinson's and what it is. And I think there's still an audience out that still needs to hear all those things. So
very much so.
Yeah,
absolutely. Yeah, you're helping a lot of people. So we're cheering you on for sure.
Well, and it was one of those things where I wasn't not a big social media person, and I saw this audience that I needed to tap into, and I said I need to make a change and get out there more, and that's why I decided to do it. So, and you play with all the algorithms of the TikTok account and then Instagram as far as what works and what doesn't work, and I've been trying to figure out what that is, so I reach as many people as I can to help them have knowledge of what to do with Parkinson's. So,
well, you're amazing. I can't tell you enough. I really appreciate what you're doing, especially giving a voice and a face to Parkinson's. I mean, like I said, Michael J. Fox and what he's done, that's great, and we don't take away from him at all. But there shouldn't be just one person out there that people feel are doing justice to all these things, right? There could be more and more and more, and all the better when we do that, right? As a society, And
I think people need to know that you can still have a quality of life with Parkinson's, and you can still exercise, you can still go out and do things with your families, and you can go to the park and enjoy your time there. And I think people get trapped and they don't leave their homes, and they need to know that you gotta push yourself, and you gotta do things outdoors and keep your muscles moving, because that's what happens with people. The muscles don't move and they atrophy, and they become content about staying home, and you got to be out there. So, and your attitude is huge. You got to have a positive attitude, because too many things in the world will get you down if you watch the news too much. So be thankful for what you have.
Well, and if they know somebody that has Parkinson's, and it does involve a lot more pain, then like with what you're saying, be mindful of that. That could be a possibility, and work with your neurologist in
So,
terms of, how much are they able to help with pain management versus do they need to coordinate with someone else? That also might be different, right? In terms of how that looks.
yeah. Yeah, and neurologists are very good about trying to figure out which cocktail works best for every patient, because not some medications work very well for some people and some don't.
Mm-hmm.
So you have to try new things and try different things, and your diet is a big factor in that. And having a Mediterranean style diet, and where you just moderation is everything, and not eating a lot of processed foods, leafy greens and vegetables are really important. So, there's a lot of things you can do to try to stave off the
But
side
you
effects
start
of the
controlling. Yeah.
medication.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I think, like I said, people need to know that there are answers out there for them. They just need to seek them, and don't rely only on the internet. The internet is a great resource for knowledge, but your neurologist is the best person to find out about what's working, what's not working for patients. So I'll say one more thing, and that's my faith is very important to me, and I think it's important to have something to have your life, the foundation of your life built on. And so Jesus Christ is my number one savior, and he's the rock that holds me together and keeps me going every day. So I want to make sure that
Oh,
that's
love
known,
it.
because without him, I have nothing. So
Love it. Yeah. Grace, and,
yeah,
grace from above, and the
that's why I always
reliance.
post on my TikTok. I post hashtag. I post Jesus, faith, grace, positivity, mindset. So those
There you
are key
go.
things that keep people going.
Can't thank you enough, my friend. So thank you so much, Jason, for joining us and all that you're doing.
Well, thank you for interviewing me. I appreciate it very much. So
Oh, you're
you guys
bet.
have a great day.
Okay. Have a good day.
You too. Take care.
Okay. See ya.
Bye bye.